The galaxy was old, very old. Thousands of species had risen to the stars long before humans learned to make fire. They built empires that stretched across millions of worlds. They created wonders that humans could not even imagine. And they looked at humanity the way a grown man looks at a crawling baby. For 300 years, humanity had been the galaxy's quiet neighbor. They owned only 12 small colony worlds in a forgotten corner of space called the Orion Spur. The great powers of the galaxy had given them permission to exist, nothing more. Humans were allowed to trade. They were allowed to fix broken machines. They were allowed to take the jobs that no other species wanted. But they were not allowed to grow. They were not allowed to build weapons. They were not allowed to dream of being equals. The Concord of 12,000 stars ruled the galaxy. It was a council of the oldest and most powerful species. The Veth had beautiful feathers and cruel hearts. The Kethmoran wore armor made of living crystal and thought themselves better than everyone else. The Synthesis Collective was a hive mind of machines that calculated everything in cold numbers. And the dreamers of Axios slept for thousands of years at a time, speaking prophecies when they woke. These ancient species made the rules. And the rules said that humanity must stay small, stay weak, and stay grateful for whatever scraps they received. Ambassador Chen Weilin understood this game better than anyone. Every day, she stood before the conquered assembly in her simple gray robes. Around her, alien diplomats wore clothes that cost more than entire human cities. The Veth Archon looked down at her from his throne of light. His feathers shimmered with colors that had no names in human languages. The human petition for expanded colony rights is denied, the Archon announced. His voice dripped with boredom. Your species has not demonstrated sufficient maturity for such responsibility. Chen bowed her head. We thank the conquered for its wisdom, she said. Her voice was soft and humble. We will continue to learn from our elders. The Archon waved his hand, dismissing her like she was nothing. Chen walked out of the chamber with her head still bowed. Other diplomats whispered as she passed. Some laughed. A Kethmoran lord made a joke about keeping pets on leashes. Chen smiled politely at all of them. She had learned to smile at insults. She had learned to bow when expected. She had learned to seem weak. But every night, alone in her quarters, she sent encrypted messages to Earth. These messages traveled through secret channels that the elder races had never discovered, and these messages told a very different story. 600 light-years away, Admiral Yuki Tanaka stood in a place that did not officially exist. She was deep beneath the frozen surface of Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Above her, ice stretched for kilometers. Below her, an ocean of dark water hid secrets that would terrify the galaxy. But Tanaka was not looking down. She was looking out through a massive window at something that made her heart swell with pride. The ship was called the Prometheus. It was 3 kilometers long. Its hull was covered in special material that absorbed light, making it nearly invisible. Its engines could bend space itself, and its weapons could crack planets open like eggs. 9 more ships just like it floated in the darkness beside it. 10 ships of death, hidden inside a moon, built by humans who the galaxy thought were too primitive to matter. Admiral, said her aide, a young officer named Tors. The Conquered has increased patrols near our outer colonies again. They are watching us more closely. Tanaka did not look away from the window. Let them watch the colonies, she said. They see what we want them to see. They watch the puppet show while we build the real performance. Tors nodded. He had been born in this secret base. His parents had worked here. His grandparents had helped dig the first tunnels. 3 generations of his family had lived and died in darkness, building weapons that might never be used. They called themselves the Quiet Builders. How many people know about us now? Tors asked. Too many, Tanaka admitted. Almost 2 million humans work in our hidden facilities. We have bases inside gas giants. We have factories in the hearts of dead stars. We have research stations in places the elder races do not even know exist. Every year, the secret grows larger. Every year, the risk grows greater. Do you think we will be discovered? Tanaka finally turned away from the window. Her eyes were hard. Eventually, yes. The universe does not allow secrets to last forever. The question is whether we will be ready when that day comes. On Earth, in a bunker buried beneath the Himalayan mountains, an old woman watched holographic displays that showed the true state of humanity. Her name was Director Sophia Reyes, and she was the only person alive who knew everything. She knew about the secret fleet. She knew about the hidden weapons. She knew about the research that could destroy stars. She knew about the millions of humans who had dedicated their lives to a plan that might take centuries to complete. And she knew that humanity had only one chance to escape the cage the galaxy had built for them. "Report from Europa," her assistant said. "The 10th Prometheus-class ship is complete. Admiral Tanaka requests permission to begin crew training." "Granted," Reyes said, "and send my congratulations to the quiet builders. 60 years of work, and we are finally ready to begin the next phase." She looked at a photograph on her desk. It showed a young woman in a diplomat's robes, smiling for the camera. Ambassador Chen, taken on the day she had accepted her mission to the Concord. "Soon," Reyes whispered to the photograph. "Soon, you will not have to bow anymore. Soon, we will show the galaxy what humanity truly is." Outside the bunker, the sun was setting over the mountains. It painted the sky in shades of red and gold. It was beautiful and peaceful, a scene that had not changed in millions of years. But beneath the surface of a dozen moons, inside the hearts of forgotten stars, in the spaces between dimensions that the elder races feared to explore, humanity was building something new. The galaxy had told humans to stay small. The galaxy had told humans to stay weak. The galaxy had told humans to be grateful for their cage. The galaxy had made a terrible mistake. The discovery happened 60 years before the first warship was built. It started with a question that no one was supposed to ask. Dr. Amara Okonkwo was a physicist who studied hyperspace. Hyperspace was how ships traveled between stars. Every species in the galaxy used it. The elder races had taught humanity the basics when they first joined the Concord. But they had also given humanity strict rules about what they could and could not research. Some areas of physics were forbidden. The Concord called them extinction-class technologies. They said that certain experiments could destroy entire solar systems. They said that young species like humanity could not be trusted with such dangerous knowledge. Amara had accepted these rules at first. She was a good scientist who followed the guidelines. But one night, while working late in her laboratory on Mars, she noticed something strange in her calculations. The mathematics of hyperspace had a hidden pattern. It was like finding a secret door in a wall that everyone thought was solid. The equations suggested that if you bent space in a certain way, you could do more than travel through it. You could break it. You could tear reality itself apart. Amara stared at her computer screen for a long time. Her hands were shaking. She understood why the elder races had forbidden this research. This was not just a weapon. This was a way to kill stars. This was a way to erase planets from existence. She should have deleted her work. She should have reported herself to the Concord authorities. That was what a good citizen of the galaxy would do. Instead, she sent an encrypted message to Earth. Director Reyes read the message 3 times. Then she gathered the most trusted leaders of humanity in a secret meeting beneath the ocean floor. "This changes everything," said Admiral Chen, who was Yuki Tanaka's predecessor. "If we can build weapons based on this research, we will no longer be helpless." "But the risk," said another leader. "If the Conquered discovers what we are doing, they will destroy us. They have done it before to other species." Reyes held up her hand for silence. "The Conquered will try to destroy us eventually anyway. They always do. Every young species that shows too much promise, every civilization that grows too fast, the elder races find a reason to cut them down. We have seen the records. We know the truth. She looked around the room at the gathered humans. The question is not whether we should build these weapons. The question is whether we can do it secretly enough to survive. The vote was unanimous. Project Fenrir was born. Construction began in places where no one would think to look. The first factory was built inside the atmosphere of Jupiter. Ships would dive into the swirling clouds of gas, download supplies, and rise again before the pressure crushed them. It took 10 years just to figure out how to make the process work safely. The second factory was hidden in the core of an asteroid in the outer solar system. Workers lived in tunnels carved from solid rock. They never saw sunlight. They never spoke to anyone outside the project. Their families were told they had died in accidents. Commander Rashid Al-Farsi joined Project Fenrir when he was 25 years old. He gave up everything, his name, his history, his connection to the outside world. He became a ghost, one of thousands who had chosen to disappear in service of humanity's survival. 20 years later, he stood on the bridge of a test ship called the Ifrit. The ship was hiding inside the outer layers of a red dwarf star. The heat would have melted any normal vessel, but the Ifrit rode the magnetic fields like a surfer riding waves. "The target is ready," his weapons officer reported. "One asteroid approximately the size of Earth's moon, range 400,000 kilometers." Al-Farsi nodded. "Set the fracture beam to 12% power." 12%, sir. Should we not test at lower levels first? We have tested at lower levels for 5 years. It is time to see what this weapon can really do. The weapons officer swallowed nervously but followed orders. "Fracture beam charged, ready to fire on your command." Al-Farsi took a deep breath. His whole life had led to this moment. Every sacrifice, every lie, every friend he had left behind, it all came down to whether this weapon would work. Fire. The beam that shot from the Ifrit was not light. It was not energy in any normal sense. It was a focused stream of broken physics, a ray of wrongness that made reality itself confused. When it hit the asteroid, something impossible happened. The rock did not explode. It did not break apart. Instead, it seemed to unravel like a sweater when you pull the wrong thread. The forces that held atoms together simply stopped working. Matter came apart at the most basic level. In 3 seconds, an object the size of a small moon became a cloud of particles spreading into space. At 12% power, Al-Farsi realized he was holding his breath. He let it out slowly. "Log the results," he said. His voice was surprisingly calm. "And begin calculations for a full power test. We will need to find a bigger target." "Sir," the weapons officer said quietly, "at full power this weapon could." "I know what it could do," Al-Farsi said. "That is exactly the point." Back on Earth, Director Reyes received the test results. She read them in her bunker beneath the mountains, alone in the middle of the night. When she finished, she poured herself a glass of whiskey with trembling hands. Humanity now had the power to destroy worlds. They had built a weapon that could threaten even the mightiest elder races. The question now was whether they could keep it secret long enough to build more. She looked at the construction schedules on her computer. 30 more years. They needed 30 more years to build enough ships to defend humanity against the whole galaxy. 30 years of smiling at insults. 30 years of bowing to aliens who thought humans were nothing but clever animals. 30 years of hiding the truth. "We can do this," Reyes whispered to herself in the darkness. "We have no choice but to do this." Outside her window, the stars shone cold and distant. Somewhere out there, the elder races slept peacefully, confident that their power would last forever. They had no idea that their quiet, harmless neighbors were forging weapons in the heart of stars. The Veth were the most paranoid species in the galaxy. Their spies watched everyone. Their sensors scanned everything. They trusted no one, not even their own allies. This paranoia had kept them powerful for 1 million years. So when 3 of their deep space monitoring stations near human territory went silent, they noticed immediately. Archon Velthrix summoned the human ambassador to his private chambers. It was not a polite invitation. Armed guards escorted Chen Weilin through corridors of living light. Other Veth courtiers watched her pass with cold, hungry eyes. The Archon's chamber was a masterpiece of alien art. Crystals floated in the air, singing with harmonics that human ears could barely hear. The floor was transparent, showing an endless fall into darkness below. Everything was designed to make visitors feel small and afraid. Chen Weilin felt neither. She had practiced this moment 1,000 times. "Ambassador," the Archon said. His voice was soft, but danger lurked beneath every word. "I have concerns about your species." "How may I help address these concerns, Archon?" Chen kept her voice humble. "3 of our monitoring stations have stopped transmitting. They were located near the edge of your territory. When we sent ships to investigate, they found nothing. The stations had simply vanished." Chen made her face show confusion and concern. "That is very troubling, Archon. Perhaps there was an accident. Space can be dangerous." 3 accidents at 3 different stations, all within the same month. The Archon's feathers began to rise. This was a sign of anger among his kind. "Do you take me for a fool, human?" "Of course not, Archon. I would never." "We have also detected strange energy readings in your sector, readings that match no known technology, readings that your scientists claim they cannot explain." The Archon leaned forward. His eyes were like black holes, pulling in light and giving nothing back. "What are you hiding?" Chen's heart was beating fast, but she did not let it show. "We are hiding nothing, Archon. Humanity is an open book. We have always followed conquered regulations." "Then you will not mind if we conduct a thorough inspection of your facilities, all of them." "We would welcome such an inspection," Chen said smoothly. "Complete transparency as always. I will arrange it personally." The Archon watched her for a long moment. He was trying to read her, trying to find the lie in her words. But Chen had trained for decades. Her face gave away nothing. "Very well," he said finally. "But know this, Ambassador. The Veth have long memories. If we discover that humanity has betrayed the trust of the conquered, there will be consequences. Severe consequences." Chen bowed low. "We understand, Archon. We would expect nothing less." She walked out of the chamber with steady steps. She did not run. She did not show fear. Only when she was alone in her private quarters did she allow herself to shake. The inspection teams arrived 2 weeks later. They searched the 12 human colony worlds. They scanned every ship, every station, every factory. They interrogated scientists and engineers. They demanded access to computer systems and research databases. They found nothing. Because there was nothing to find. The real work happened in places the Veth could not imagine. Who would think to look for a weapons factory inside a star? Who would search for a secret base in the crushing depths of a gas giant? Who would suspect that humanity had learned to build in dimensions that most species did not know existed? But the Veth were not satisfied. They shared their suspicions with the other elder races. The Kethmoran began analyzing human shipping patterns, looking for hidden routes. The Synthesis Collective ran calculations on human population growth, searching for missing people who might be working on secret projects. Even the dreamers of Axios stirred in their ancient sleep, troubled by visions they could not quite understand. Ambassador Chen reported all of this to Earth. The message was short but alarming. "They are watching. They are suspicious. How much time do we have?" Admiral Tanaka read the message in her command center on Europa. Around her, officers worked at their stations, monitoring the construction of humanity's secret fleet. 27 ships were now complete. 15 more were being built. but they needed at least 100 to have any chance against the combined fleets of the conquered. How much time? Tanaka repeated the question to herself. She looked at the construction schedules, at the training reports, at the intelligence briefings from human spies throughout the galaxy. 5 years, she said finally. Maybe 10 if we are very lucky. The elder races are slow to act, but they are not stupid. Eventually, someone will find something we cannot hide. And then, asked Commander Tors, then we either fight with what we have, or we surrender everything we have built. Tanaka's jaw tightened. I do not intend to surrender. She sent orders to accelerate production. More resources were diverted to the secret facilities. More workers were recruited and smuggled away from their normal lives. The quiet builders worked longer hours, pushed harder, cut corners where they could do so safely. On the human colony world of New Singapore, a young engineer named David Park received a mysterious job offer. The pay was extraordinary. The work was described only as vital to humanity's future. The catch was that he would have to leave everything behind and could never return. David thought about his apartment, his friends, the woman he had just started dating. He thought about the way the Veth guards had looked at him when he traveled through conquered space, like he was an insect they might decide to step on. He accepted the offer. A month later, he was working in a factory hidden in the rings of Saturn, helping to build weapons that could kill gods. He would never see Earth again. He would never see his family again. But when he looked at the ships taking shape in the construction bays, he felt something he had never felt before. Pride, real pride, not the fake kind that humans showed to their alien masters. We are going to change everything, he whispered to himself as he worked. The galaxy thinks they know us, they have no idea. Across human space, thousands of people like David were making the same choice. They gave up their lives to become ghosts, working in darkness toward a future they might never live to see. The elder races continued to watch and wait. They knew something was wrong. They could feel it in their bones, in their calculations, in their dreams, but they could not see it. Not yet. The clock was ticking, and humanity raced against time, building their arsenal in the shadows while the galaxy slept. The end of the secret came not through brilliant detective work or careful investigation. It came through simple bad luck. A Veth exploration fleet was traveling through a region of space that no one cared about. It was far from any colonies, far from any trade routes, far from anything interesting. The fleet commander was bored. His crew was bored. They were on a routine mapping mission that served no purpose except to keep them busy. Then their navigation system made an error, a tiny mistake in the calculations, barely noticeable. The fleet jumped through hyperspace and emerged in completely the wrong location. They found themselves above a brown dwarf star at the edge of the galaxy. Brown dwarfs were failed stars, too small to burn properly, too dim to attract attention. No one ever visited them. There was no reason to. Except that this brown dwarf had company. The Veth commander stared at his view screen in disbelief. Orbiting the dim star were 17 massive warships, each one 3 kilometers long. Around them floated construction platforms, supply depots, and smaller vessels. It was a full military shipyard, hidden in a place no one would ever think to look. And the ships were clearly human. What in the name of the ancestors? The commander whispered. His sensor officer was already working frantically. Sir, those vessels are armed with weapons I do not recognize. Their power signatures are impossible. If these readings are correct, each of those ships could destroy a planet. The commander made a quick decision. Whatever this was, the conquered needed to know about it immediately. Send a transmission to the Dominion, he ordered. Maximum priority. Include all sensor data. The message went out at the speed of light, racing toward Veth space. 3 seconds later, the shipyard's automated defenses activated. Commander Al-Farsi was 50 kilometers away. supervising the installation of a new reactor on one of the incomplete ships, when the alarm started screaming. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Intruders, sir. A Veth fleet just appeared at the edge of the system. They came through a random hyperspace emergence, complete accident, but they have already sent a transmission." Al-Farsi felt his blood turn cold. This was the moment they had always feared, the moment when the secret died. "Can we stop the transmission?" "Too late, sir. It is already gone." Al-Farsi closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, his face was calm. "Then we do what we must. Activate all defense systems. Destroy the intruders." "Sir, if we destroy a Veth fleet?" "They have already told the galaxy where we are. Letting them live changes nothing, but we can prevent them from gathering more information." His voice was hard as stone. "Do it." The hidden weapons of the shipyard came to life. Fracture beams, plasma cannons, and weapons that had no names yet all fired at once. The Veth fleet was state-of-the-art, the pride of the Dominion, crewed by some of the best soldiers in the galaxy. They lasted less than a minute. Al-Farsi watched the expanding clouds of debris that had been enemy ships. He felt no satisfaction, only grim acceptance. "Send word to Europa," he said. "The secret is out. May God help us all." The news reached Admiral Tanaka within the hour. She read the report 3 times, then called an emergency meeting of all senior commanders. "We have 93 combat-ready vessels," she announced. 40 more in various stages of construction. Our crews are trained but have never seen real combat. We have perhaps 2 weeks before the Conquered assembles a response fleet." "2 weeks," said one commander. "That is not enough time." "It is all the time we have." Tanaka's voice was steel. "So we will use it well. All ships are to complete final preparations. All crews are to report to battle stations. We are moving to Plan Omega." Plan Omega was the scenario they had always hoped would never happen. It meant revealing humanity's secret fleet to the entire galaxy. It meant confrontation with powers that had ruled the stars for millions of years. It meant risking everything on a single desperate gamble. On Earth, the news reached Director Reyes through encrypted channels. She was old now, over 90 years old, kept alive by medical technology that added decades to human lifespans. She had given her entire life to this project. Now she would see its conclusion, one way or another. "Send word to Ambassador Chen," she ordered. "Tell her to prepare for Phase 2. Chen Weilin received the message in her quarters on the Conquered station. Her hands trembled as she read it, but her mind was clear. She had trained for this moment for 30 years. She knew exactly what to do. The next morning, she received a summons to the full Conquered assembly. Every elder race had sent representatives. The chamber was filled with beings who had ruled the galaxy since before humanity existed. Their anger was like a physical weight pressing down on everything. The Archon Velthric stood at the center, his feathers white with rage. "Humans," he screamed, "you have betrayed us. You have built weapons of extinction in secret. You have murdered Veth soldiers. You must answer for these crimes." Other voices joined in, demanding punishment, calling for humanity's destruction. The Kethmoran wanted human worlds quarantined. The Synthesis Collective suggested terminating the human experiment entirely. Even the normally peaceful species spoke of necessary measures and regrettable actions. Chen Weilin stood alone before them all. She was small and plainly dressed, surrounded by giants who wanted her species dead. And she smiled. It was not her diplomatic smile, the one she had worn for 30 years of insults and condescension. This was something different. This was the smile of someone who held cards that no one else knew about. "Distinguished members of the Conquered," she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. "I have been instructed to deliver a message from Earth. I suggest you listen carefully." The chamber fell silent. Something in her tone made even the angriest voices pause. Chen straightened her spine and looked directly at the Archon. For the first time in her life, she did not bow. Humanity does not apologize, she said, and humanity is done asking for permission. Admiral Tanaka gave the order from the bridge of the Prometheus. All ships emerge from hyperspace. Show them what we have built. Across the galaxy, reality itself seemed to tear open. Points of light appeared in the darkness, expanding into doorways between dimensions. And through those doorways came humanity's answer to 300 years of humiliation. 112 warships emerged above the conquered assembly station. The Prometheus led them, its dark hull swallowing light, its weapons glowing with barely contained power. Behind it came the Ragnarok, the Shiva, the Fenrir, the Kali, and dozens more. Each ship was named for a god of destruction from human mythology. Each ship carried weapons that could crack worlds. The alien fleets guarding the station scrambled to respond. Warning signals flashed, shields powered up, weapons locked on targets, but no one fired, no one dared. Because at the same moment, more human fleets appeared at critical locations throughout the galaxy. The Veth Dominion's home world found itself surrounded by 30 human warships. Their famous orbital defense platforms, which had protected them for 1,000,000 years, suddenly seemed very small. The Keth Morin crystal forges, where they built their legendary armor, looked up at the sky and saw human vessels blocking out their artificial sun. The Synthesis Collective's central processing nodes detected targeting systems, painting every vital structure with mathematical precision. For the first time in recorded history, every elder race felt something they had almost forgotten: fear. In the conquered assembly chamber, Ambassador Chen continued speaking. Her voice was calm, but it carried to every corner of the massive room. For 300 years, you treated humanity as children. You restricted our growth. You denied us equal standing. You made it clear that our existence continued only because you allowed it. She paused, letting the words sink in. You believed we were harmless because we smiled at your insults. You believed we were weak because we never challenged your authority. You believed you knew us. She gestured toward the view screens, which now showed human warships filling the skies above a dozen worlds. You were wrong. The Archon Velthrix found his voice. This is madness. You cannot win against the combined fleets of the conquered. You are one species against thousands. You are correct, Chen said. We cannot win a long war against the entire galaxy, but we do not need to win. We only need to make sure that if we lose, everyone loses. She let that statement hang in the air for a moment. Our weapons can destroy planets, Archon. You have seen the evidence. If you attack us, we will fight. And when we start losing, we will start destroying. Your worlds, your stations, your irreplaceable wonders. How much are you willing to sacrifice to punish us? The Keth Morin Lord spoke, his crystalline voice sharp with contempt. You would murder billions to save yourselves. What kind of monsters are you? We are the kind of monsters that you created, Chen replied. You gave us no path to safety except strength. You left us no choice except to become dangerous. So we became very, very dangerous. Admiral Tanaka's voice joined the broadcast, speaking from the bridge of the Prometheus. Our fingers are on the triggers. Our crews are ready to die. But we are not here to fight. We are here to talk. Talk, the Synthesis Collective's speaker drone buzzed with disbelief. You have built extinction-class weapons. You have hidden them for decades. You have already killed Veth soldiers. And now you wish to talk. Yes, Tanaka said. Because unlike you, we do not want to rule the galaxy. We do not want to dominate other species. We do not even want revenge for centuries of disrespect. We want only one thing. And what is that? The Archon demanded. Equality, Chen answered. A seat at the table, the right to grow and expand like any other species, the right to defend ourselves without asking permission, the right to be treated as partners instead of pets. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some elder races demanded immediate attack, willing to accept massive losses to destroy the human threat. Others urged caution, pointing out that the cost of victory might be too high. The Synthesis Collective ran calculations showing billions of deaths on all sides. The dreamers of Axios spoke of ancient prophecies about young species rising to challenge the old order. The debate raged for hours. Human ships maintained their positions, weapons ready, waiting. Finally, the eldest of the dreamers spoke. His voice was like wind through ancient trees, slow and heavy with the weight of ages. We have ruled this galaxy for so long that we forgot what it means to be challenged. We have treated younger species as threats to be controlled, never as equals to be welcomed. Perhaps this is our error, not theirs. You would reward their treachery, the Archon demanded. I would recognize reality, the dreamer replied. They have the weapons. They have the will to use them. We can destroy them, yes, but only by destroying much of what we have built. Is that truly what we want? To burn half the galaxy to punish one species for refusing to accept a cage? The arguments continued, but the tide was turning. One by one, the elder races began to accept the impossible truth. Humanity had changed the equation. Fear, which had always been their tool for controlling younger species, now worked both ways. The negotiations lasted for months. Human diplomats sat across tables from beings who had called them animals. Human admirals coordinated with alien fleets that had planned to destroy them. Slowly, painfully, a new agreement took shape. The Treaty of New Dawn, as it came to be called, recognized humanity as a full member of the galactic community. Humans would have the same rights as any elder race. They could expand, build, research, and defend themselves as they saw fit. In exchange, they would share some of their technology and accept observers to ensure they did not become the threat they had been accused of being. Not everyone was happy. The Veth Archon refused to sign and was replaced by his own council. Several elder species withdrew from the conquered entirely rather than accept humans as equals. And many humans felt that the treaty did not go far enough, that they should have demanded more. But it was a beginning. Admiral Tanaka stood on the observation deck of the Prometheus as the treaty was signed. She was tired, older than she had been when this journey started, but her eyes were bright. "We did it," Commander Torres said beside her. "We actually did it." "We survived," Tanaka corrected. "That is all. The real work begins now. We have to prove that we deserve this place at the table. We have to show the galaxy that humans can be trusted with power." "Can we?" Tanaka watched the lights of alien ships mixing with human vessels in the space around the station. For centuries, humanity had looked at those lights and felt small. Now they stood among them as equals. "I do not know," she admitted, "but we have earned the chance to find out. That is more than we had before." On Earth, Director Reyes watched the signing ceremony on a viewscreen in her quarters. She was very old now, kept alive by machines that would fail soon, but she had lived long enough to see humanity step out of the shadows. "We did it," she whispered to no one in particular. "We built our future while the galaxy slept." She closed her eyes and smiled. Outside her window, the stars no longer seemed so cold and distant. For the first time in 300 years, they looked like home.